Bob Reyna says. And believe me, he has the bank account to stand behind it. Okay? So with that being said, let's get started with the diamond rush. It's going to take about 30 minutes, okay? And then we'll have, if you have any questions or anything like that. And we'll wait for our lovely host, Vanna White, to
That's a letter.
Did everybody get goosebumps when they saw that room?
Yeah.
Can you see yourself with 500 people and 60, 70, or 100 in your business or more? That's powerful.
Yes, sir.
Okay, our goal obviously here is to show you how to get to diamond in 200 days or less. And why? Because when you reach the rank of diamond, we all know that's 100 cycles. Everybody knows that. That's $2,500 a week. I think everybody in here would be very happy with $2,500 a week consistently.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Before we get to that, obviously we have to get to $2,500 a month. Before we get to that, we have to get to $1,000 a month. That's $100,000 a year. 100,000. How many people in here make $100,000 a year right now? Okay. It's a good feeling. 6 figures. Here we go. Okay. What would you do with an extra $2,500? Every presentation we start off with, and maybe every night, every night before you go to bed, and every morning when you wake up, ask this question to yourself. We start off with that question. I love that question, man. I get really fired up and excited during a presentation. If you had all the money that you could ever want, and all the free time to enjoy it, how would your life be different? Gary, would you live in the same house? Hold on for a second. Would you live in the same house? No? Would you drive the same car? Would you take more vacation trips?
No, I would be working.
I would be working. He's in the building. He's in the building mode.
Taking vacation
Okay.
and working.
Would you pay off your credit card bills, Patty?
Oh,
How many people by show of hands would like to be totally debt free? No debt. Look at everybody not only raising their hand, they're smiling. No debt. I'm getting goosebumps. Give more money to your favorite charity. Maybe help out. Personally, my goal is every week we try to tithe more to our church. We challenge ourselves to that. Go ahead. Now, the Diamond Rush Guide, why do we have it? Because the universal principle behind building a profitable relationship marketing business is that, and this is so critical, it's not what works for you, but what can be duplicated by everybody. Because, see, everybody in here has different personality, different skill sets, sales ability. If you're a good salesman or saleswoman, forget it, throw it out the window. It has nothing to do with it. So what Bob has done with his amazing, he's like the Wizard of Oz, man. The guy's got an unbelievable mind. He knows because of that, nobody can duplicate. So if I'm a good salesman, I can't sell my way to the top simply because I can't teach anybody in here how to sell as good as me. So that's why the system is so important. All right, the Talk Fusion says this is so simple that everybody, including myself and men, we all botch it up because we don't believe it. Now the system, we've always had a system. I've been around for about 5 years, along with men. Okay, we've always had different. Lynn and Ben, how y'all doing? You snuck in? Okay, great to see you.
they've been here.
Now, the thing is that we've always had a system, but the content in the system was different. But the system was the system, and every time we ever followed this, it was always the same 4 steps, different content. It always worked. Always worked because it could duplicate. First thing you do is you're going to invite prospects, have them watch a webinar. We're going to go to these in a second. Follow up with a 3-way call. If you're not doing 3-way calls, you are absolutely never going to get where you want to go with your Talk Fusion business. That one right there ought to be like 1,000 exclamation points. And as soon as someone gets started, you plug them right into the system. Go ahead, please. Here we go. Invite. Let's go right to the next slide, please. The invitation. We're in the people business. That's our inventory. Not soap or toilet paper or lotion or something's going to make your friend's stomach get all upset. Okay? We're in the people business, and our products happen to be our products in video communication. You're looking for people who want more than they currently have. That's everybody. People who want to go places they've never been. Again, is that everybody? Want to help others. People who are tired of being average. Even people that have a lot, they don't have what they used to have. No way. Nobody's making the kind of money they were making in the last 5 years. People still have dreams and are willing to do something about it. Wow. Just that's what Min was talking. That's mindset right there. Because we all didn't. None of us, as we were growing up and got out of high school or out of college, said, "Man, I can't wait to go into the world and go into debt. I can't wait to struggle financially." We didn't want to do that. People are excited about earning extra money from home. Everybody wants to make more money, and that's a question we're going to talk about in a second. Okay, Karen. Biggest thing right there. When you start off in your business, you got to have a prospect list. Remember, people is their inventory. Top 20 prospects. These are people that are closest to you. If you were on your way home today and you had a flat tire, who would you call? And without a shadow of a doubt, they would come out to help you. That's the kind of people. Those are called good friends if they're there for you. You want to talk to them. I don't want anybody to say, "I don't want to talk to any of my friends because I've been in other things before and they run from me." You gotta have the courage to talk to people that you know. So look at your cell phone. Don't prejudge anybody. Even if somebody has a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot home and they drive Mercedes and Jaguars, don't think. Matter of fact, it's those people there because they have all those things. Those are the ones you want to talk to first. As Patty said, you want to recruit up because, believe me, they got there for a reason. They got there for a reason. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Great tip. Thank you, Karen. Always remember in this business, not who you know or who they know, it's who they know. Okay, in other words, I need to go through Alex to get to a Patty or to a Tim Dimick, and Tim might know somebody who's been in network marketing, made millions. You never know who someone might lead you to. Your warm market. Page 6, turn to page 6, memory jogger. None of us should ever say, "Mark, I'm already out of people. I've already talked to everybody I know." That's a bunch of you know what? I've been in here almost 5 years and I'm still remembering people that I haven't talked. I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I haven't talked to so and so." So you'll never run out of people. Use the prospect tracking list. We'll go over that in a second. Add new people, share with them. In other words, as soon as you get started, you're going to make your top 20 list and you're going to start inviting them. Okay? Inviting them to the webinar. Next page, please. Here we go, the invitation. This is it. This is the key. 90% of effective invite is the excitement. Some people, let's just face it, they're just not really excited about anything. And if you're not excited about something, whether you're giving away gold, people probably won't look at what you're not excited about, that you're trying to tell them they need to go look at it because they'd be excited to look at it. Don't ask me to say that again. Invite the top 20 right away within your 72 hours. Here's why. In other words, listen, let's all make believe this is our first day in business. We all just signed up, so let's just start fresh, okay? So you want to invite, in the next 72 hours, you want to invite people, 20 people, to the presentation. Why? Because if you do that, you're going to find 3 or 4 people are going to sign up. It's just a numbers game. Even if our product was horrible, which it's not, even if our comp plan was terrible, which it's absolutely not, people would still join you because it's a sheer numbers game. There's great examples, but I'm going to give you the best, in my opinion, in my expert opinion, in 5 years, the best thing to ever say to anybody. You might want to write this down, but it's on there, but write this one down. You don't have to write it down, you'll remember it. When you're talking to somebody, you say, "Hey Gary, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of a company called Talk Fusion?" That's an icebreaker, because Gary's gonna, everybody, no, and they'll even kind of they'll squint, like, "No, what's that?" Because people can't stand it when you know something they don't know, or you've heard of something they don't know, or they've never heard of. That's human nature, it's curiosity, it kicks in. Have you ever heard of a company called Talk Fusion? I guarantee you, if you ask that question, whoever asked that question, I convinced a lot of people many, many years ago, and that's what set our team on fire. We had more people in our organization asking that question, "Have you ever heard of a company called Talk Fusion?" And people say no, and then the next question out of your mouth better be, you got to ask 2 questions. Are you interested in taking a look at a way to make more money? Again, that's a yes or no answer. If they say no, then talk about the weather. Talk about how pretty Patty's shirt is. Change the subject and move on. But when they say yes, next slide, there's your invitation. Obviously, you're talking about opportunity. We don't talk about product and technology in that invite. Because when you say the P word, and if you say that, or the T word, technology, Min and I will spank you. Because if you say the word product, people instantly think they got to spend money. They're already backpedaling. If you say the word technology, that's a scary word. Instantly, people are thinking, oh my gosh, I got to learn something. I don't want to learn something. You see, people don't want complications in their life. They want stuff that's simple. It's very, very important. Hey, Gary, I'm inviting 10 people to take a look at this today, and I called you first. Sense of urgency on why they need to get to this presentation. Go ahead, Karen, please. As I said a second ago, if somebody says they're not interested in making money, don't tuck your tail and run, or start crying or anything like that. Don't worry about it. Move on. It's okay. But you know what? Actually, you've done something good by inviting something, even if they're not interested in taking a look at the time. You've planted a seed. Maybe somebody else will go to them 4 or 5 months later and say, hey, you ever heard of a company called Talk Fusion? As a matter of fact, I did. My good friend Patty told me about it. I'm going to get back with Patty. It's like third-party verification 6 months later because maybe the person told Patty no. Does everybody understand that? The more people you ask that question to, even if the results aren't good right then and there, you've done your job. Plant the seed. Plant the seed. It's like the farmer. That's a guy that's got patience. He plants seeds, for about a month in 50 or 60 acres. And then he waters, nothing happens. He waters, nothing happens. It takes months and months and months. And all of a sudden he's got this beautiful crop. That's all we do. We're just planting seeds. Here we go. Invitation test. Become a professional inviter. The more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. But you know what? How hard is it to say, hey, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of a company called Talk Fusion? Put a little tone in your voice. And when they say no, say, are you interested in taking a look at a way to make more money? You've got to see this. Those 2 questions, I'm telling you, if you write those down, if you get good at asking those 2 things and nothing more for the next 30 days, and we'll talk about numbers here in a minute, it's going to change your world.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. This is important here. Remember this. Everything you do, everything you say, and everything you send somebody or show somebody, guess what they're going to do? The exact same thing. So if you're calling up somebody and what we call puking all over them, 45-minute dissertation of Talk Fusion, man, the lines are buried, this, that, and the other, and talking about, and somebody says, well, how's the comp plan work? And you try to explain it on the phone. 2 things are going to happen. One, they're going to hang up the phone and go, there is no way that I'm going to learn all that stuff. And they don't want to learn all that stuff. But they're going to, if they do join, they're going to do the same thing you do. It was funny, the other night I was sitting out in the lobby with Patty, and I started looking up at the ceiling. And within about, I said, watch this. And there was a whole bunch of people standing around. I was out in the lobby when we were done a presentation. And about a minute later, people were walking by and they're going, they looked at me, and they were trying to see, I'm telling you, there was 10 people within a minute. And I said, you see, people do what they see you do. I'm telling you, they do what they see you do. They do everything. Because they know that if you're involved and you're excited, whatever he's going to say and do, that's what I got to say and do. And that's what we want. That's why it's so important to follow us. Top earners on at least the first 20 prospect calls. In other words, when you sign up an associate, they're excited, but don't let them go and invite on their own. And listen, I'm going to say that I have not done that with everybody that I brought in this business. The ones that I have, I know that they're inviting right. Because if you're on the phone muted out, and maybe Patty's inviting Alex, well, if Patty does a perfect invite and says, hey Alex, it's Patty, how you doing? You got a minute? Yeah, listen, I just started a new business, I'm really excited. Have you ever heard of Talk Fusion? Alex says, no, what's that? Listen, are you interested in taking a look at a way to make more money with me? That's important to throw the me. Are you interested in making more money with me? And if Alex says absolutely, she says great. I'm going to send you something to look at, and guess what that is? That's about a 5-second video, but mainly with the 1hourtoretire.info. That's the website to get to the webinar. And if when Patty and I get off the phone, Alex doesn't know I'm on the phone. Guess what? Patty, great job. Let's go to another one. But if Patty gets a little tongue-tied, maybe Alex starts asking questions, what's the natural response? When someone asks you a question, you want to try to answer them. Here, it's totally the opposite. Your job is to get off the phone as fast as you can. The longer you're on that phone, it's going sour. It's going south. So help out your person, because if you're on the phone with them with those 20 prospects, inviting properly, you're going to go bronze. You're going to help them go bronze, because there's a ratio on that, okay? It's very, very important. Next slide, please. Now, family, occupation, recreation, money. We've all heard about this before. Did we skip a couple slides?
Unless you saw my finger skipping, I don't think so.
Okay.
But
Is
I
this
could-
is okay, because that's stuff on the. That's okay. This is stuff that we do on a three-way call. All right. So when you're talking to other people, hey Patty, in other words, you know about Patty. Would you like to spend more time with your family? What do you do for a living? Ask people questions. If they have more time, what would you do with it? Do they need it? Would you like to have a new house, new car, pay off credit? In other words, the whys. Get into their minds of what they want. Okay? Because if you ask a lot, this industry is not about, and this company is not about telling people a lot of stuff. It's about listening. God gave you 2 ears for a reason, so you could listen better than you can talk. The more you say, the worse it is. Listen to what people want and need, and then it's an easy invite after that. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry. That is in that third step. Okay, here we go. Step 2. So we got the invite down. That's easy. Have you ever heard of Talk Fusion? Are you interested in taking a look at the way to make more money? Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Then we just get them on a webinar. That's very, very simple. Go ahead, next step. Next slide, please. Now, it's 1:15 right now. We already know there's a webinar. So let's say I'm talking to somebody at 2 o'clock. Where am I going to send them? What webinar?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. Somebody says, are you interested in taking a look at the way to make more money? Yes, I am. Great. What are you doing at 5 minutes to 4? I need you in front of your computer for 20 minutes. I'm going to be at work. All right, great. Listen, there's another presentation tonight at 7 o'clock. I'll call you at 5 minutes to 7. Get them on the next available one. Sense of urgency. It's and let them know. I would let Patty know. Patty, I've got 5 people to call, but I called you first. Whether you have 4 more people to call is irrelevant. I called you first. Patty's going to feel good that I felt enough of her to get her to show her Talk Fusion. Now, this is something very important for all of us. I didn't say you, I said us, including me, including Minh and Julie. You ever notice that when Minh and Julie aren't doing a webinar, you ever see them on the webinars? You know why? Because if they're not on the webinars, then I'm going to think it's not important for me to be on the webinar since they're the top earners. And if I'm not on the webinars, then maybe some of the people in my organization. So it's very, very important, whether Minh or myself or Patty or anybody doesn't have a guest, it's important that everybody in this room, and we're talking about, this is the group. This is the group that we're going to build an army with. But if you guys and gals aren't on the webinar, supporting the team, supporting the company, but most importantly, letting your team know that it's important that you're on the webinars, because remember what I said, people do what they see you do. If they never, I see Alec Baldwin here every webinar. That's my buddy Alec Baldwin. I see him on every webinar. And I see some people from time to time on webinars. And I understand there's some people here that are here to get re-engaged. So from this point on, you have to be on webinars. Of course, we want you to invite, and we're going to let you know how many people you have to invite every day to make this thing successful. But you've got to be on webinars even if you don't have a guest. Because you know why? Because if you stay plugged in, then eventually your check will light up. And I didn't just make that up, by the way. Leverage your time, because you know what? Not only are you on webinars for 2 reasons. Now your guest sees you on there. You'll see him in the chat. Or you actually got him on the webinar. You're on there. You in? Good. Okay, chat and say hi, Patty, or hi, Mark. So you know your guest is there. It's very, very important that they know you're there. What if you have a guest on there and they don't see you on there at the end? They're going to think, well, maybe I don't need to really be on these webinars if the person who invited me isn't here. So does everybody understand? It's very, very important. These webinars should be loaded up. Go on some of the webinars from Russia or from the Czech Republic. there's 300, 400, 500 people 5-6 times a day on their webinars. So the webinars are important. Next slide, please.
How many? How many people?
300 to 500. I've seen.
Each webinar?
I even saw on a Sunday afternoon there was 300 and some odd people on a check webinar,
Oh my gosh. That's
and that
amazing.
check team's in my group. So I see. You wouldn't believe. They're unbelievable. They are the epitome of the perfection. Matter of fact, their step is invite, 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 invite. That's what they do. And people join, and guess what? They say, go find 5 people, get them on the next webinar. And that person, then they make money. They haven't even been in their back office. But they know that if they like that instant pay bug to bite them, they know that they got to get people on webinars. Okay, so we got people on webinars. This right here is without a doubt, I like to call it's the icing on the cake in what we do. If you're not doing these, then you're selling. Regardless of whether somebody's going to take a look at the product. See, the great thing about the webinar, it sorts through people. It sorts through builders, money makers, and customers, right? Okay, here we go, step 3, follow. Now, let's say that, I'll use Patty's example. Patty invited Alex, and let's say that Alex is on the webinar. When do we call Alex?
Right after the webinar is over.
Right after, I mean, literally a minute after it's over. Why? Because that's when Alex is the most excited, or at least the most curious. Or I know he's impressed because he's never seen anything like this before. Now, Patty does not call Alex by herself. She does not do that. Okay? Patty calls me first. Patty would already have called me and say, Mark, I've got a friend of mine named Alex on the webinar, and say, say right now. So I'll be ready, I'm calling you. And a lot of you are great with doing 3-way calls, and a lot of you are fantastic about calling and say, hey, I got a guy on the webinar, I'm calling you, man, why? Because that's what I said you got to do if you want to make money. So it's very, very important. Here's how this would go down. And I want to take a moment on this, okay? Here's how the 3-way call goes down. Here's the psychology behind it. Patty has me on the phone, calls up Alex. Hey, Alex, it's Patty. Hey, I know you're on the webinar. Is that the most incredible thing have you ever seen? I don't even like when I teach people, don't say, what do you think? Because then the person might be thinking there's something they got to think. We don't want. I want instantly Patty to say, what is that the most incredible thing you've ever seen? Yeah, man, that was unbelievable. Well, listen. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine who's a business partner, who's a friend of mine. That's important, a friend of mine. Because that instantly puts his guards down because, people are like, they're ready to fight. I want to introduce somebody who's a friend of mine who has an amazing story. We don't want anybody to say, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody who's got an amazing story. He can answer any questions you want about the product. Don't want to do that because you know what? That call will go south. We'll be on there for 20 or 30 minutes. No. Who's got an amazing story? Alex, how you doing? Mark Robinson. Nice to meet you. Alex, where do you live? I already know where he lives because Patty's already filled me in, but I'm going to ask him anyway because I want that form, occupation, recreation, money. Ask him a few questions. Within a minute, here's the psychology. Alex knows Patty, trusts Patty, right? Now Patty has said she's in business with me and I'm helping her. Well, Alex instantly he's never met me before, but that's the psychology of a 3-way call. Third-party verification is a powerful tool. You get Min Ho or myself on a call with 10 people, you're going to have 5 or more of them sign up in the business, maybe more. And it's not because we're talking about money, it's because we have a story. Man, stories are compelling. So now Alex is going to listen to my story. And within a minute after I ask him a few questions, make him feel like I care about him, and I do, then I'm going to simply say, what package do you see yourself coming on board with? Are you ready to start making some money tonight? And then I don't say a word. And that's hard. A lot of people, there's like this awkward silence for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. That's okay. I'll just sit there until he says something. Are you ready to start making money tonight?